It's showtime.
It's the pre-party with J. Cal.
We are professional wrestling.
I'm building an alliance.
You are tuned into
the absolute top of the mountain, the ultimate professional wrestling.
Alliance-wrestling.com.
Would you look at that? It's the pre-party with J-Cal. On this week, this wonderful opportunity to discuss National Wrestling Alliance with you, my friends. This is the pre-party, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J-Cal, and I'm currently streaming not only on Twitch.tv, on YouTube.com, and also on Instagram. And I just want to say hello, my friends. How are you all doing? I'm excited. I think we've got a great night of wrestling ahead of us. What do you guys think? There is a question of the week that I'm going to be asking, and I'd love to hear answers from everybody. And I want to know, who do you think is going to be the next national champion. Hey, Heebs, what is going on, brother? Thanks for checking out the show. Man, we got a full house already. We got Kakushi's here. Happy birthday, Kakushi. Lam Sum Vu is in the house. We got DKM, and Heebs is on the line, so it's a full point. And Terry's here too. We got a full house, ladies and gentlemen, and that just pumps me up. We also got in the chat, in the Instagram live, we have James and Sarah. So I just want to say what's up to them as well. But again, getting back to the question at hand, right? So last week we saw Chris Adonis sneak out that victory, right? He stole one. He stole one from Tom Latimer, because although Latimer and Adonis were really putting the boots to Paro, who looked pretty good in this match. I'll have to say, rewatching it again, I really liked how Paro looked in this one. Adonis tricked Latimer and got that schoolboy, that quick pin, and I was impressed. I thought it was a good match. I thought it did a good job of presenting the story of Adonis doing anything he can to win the title, even sabotaging his good buddy there. And I think the funny thing about it is Latimer was really hoping to get that opportunity, and now you have this weird dichotomy, right, of, well, they can't even trust each other, right, because they were like brothers and buddies, and then they weren't. Everything was fine until it wasn't. And putting the boots to Paro is one thing, but when you get that 1, 2, 3, now there's some more, DKM's favorite word, dissension in the ranks. And there's all kinds of dissension in the NWA. We were talking about that last week, whether it be Strictly Business, the War Kings, the tag team champions, Kratos and Stevens. There's so much dissension, so we don't know really what's going to happen next. If you guys went out there and looked for spoilers, you know who becomes the next national champion. But this national championship will be crowned. It's going to be Jay the God, JTG, versus Chris Adonis of Strictly Business. If they even have a clean bout, who walks away as the winner? And I'm looking at some of your comments. I see DKM was quick to say Adonis. Again, happy 21st birthday to Kakushi. Dave Scooby's in the house. Terry McDermott said it was a handicap match and not a three-way. Yeah, let's call it a spade, a spade, right? It was a handicap match. And, Paro, to me, I think Paro is one of these guys that's very underutilized. I don't know how they're going to try to use him in the future. It seems more often than not he's the weak man in the tag team, which begs the question why he's getting an opportunity to wrestle for the title anyways. But nevertheless, I really feel like Paro can do something exciting in the NWA if they just let him. But so far they haven't done that yet. Kakushi says in the chat, there is so much controversy in the NWA, I would think Fred Rubenstein was booking. No, our old pal Fred. I hope he's doing well. We got PWZ podcast in the house. That's my boy Rick. Rick, I've been meaning to talk to you about this, and I know this is completely off topic, but you should check out some of the folks over at Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. I know you're further up north, but New Jersey, a New Jersey indie wrestling promotion might be right up your alley, and you might be able to get some pretty good interviews with some of the talent over there at Dog. And I'll slide into your DMs later to give you some ideas. Heeb says JTG wins. He's gotta. My thought is Strictly Business is fixing to implode come NWA 73. Masters versus Tom at the pay-per-view, and JTG maybe have an open challenge to debut a new face as a top guy. Well, I love JTG so far, what he's done, which has just gone out there and win. Had a great match with Fred Rosser. Doubled down on that successful match with Fred Rosser to have a good match with Fred and El Rudo to get that qualifying title match. I think there's a ton of potential with JTG. The NWA certainly does have a type, though, right? Guys who are over 6'2", guys who are either very, athletically gifted or just really big, and guys who can speak on the mic. JTG's had very little opportunity to speak on the mic, but when he has, he's delivered. And I think he could be a fine candidate for that national title. What if they decide to flip the script and throw him after the TV title and him and Elijah Burke go at it? That might be something fun too. Lamb says, is the champion being crowned today? No. This is just forecasting, Lamb. It's just, what do you all think? We're just asking questions here. I don't have the answers yet. I don't think they're going to crown the champion for a while. Maybe it'll be next week, but I also think maybe next week might be a Power Surge episode anyways. So we'll see how that goes. Lamb also says strictly business with the all gold. That's something we all want. That's nothing that anyone wants. Sean Mega says, what about the world title? Well, I mean, it hasn't been formally announced yet, right? It hasn't been formally announced yet, but I have to think that they're going to Missouri for a reason, right? I feel like it's going to be, excuse me, Murdoch versus Aldis number 2, or technically it'll be 3 by then, but I think that's the match they're building to at the Chase. It just makes sense. You've got the house that Harley Race built with the protege of Harley Race by the guy who was affirmed by Harley Race for the title that Harley Race held. If they don't book that match, I mean, what are they even doing, right? What are they even doing? Excuse me. So, so I mean, there's a lot of exciting things going on for the NWA. I mean, tonight, kind of like a prelude to maybe the Empower pay-per-view, we get 2 women's matches. And so far, they look like legitimate matches. It doesn't look like these are going to be taken as a joke or like a, squeeze in a 2-minute match to make the fanboys happy. It looks like they're really going to do something special. And I think the fact that when you have talent like Jennacide, I'm really big on Jennacide. I think she is a future star. I think if Camille is the one that's going to be made into the next big thing for the NWA, I think Jennacide isn't far behind her. Kikuchi just got me on that one. He said with the excuse me. With the rare exception, Aldis only wrestles against Mickey James. That's funny. Sean Mega says the Melina matches are not fun. That's fair. She's going to wrestle Kylie Rae. Now, Kylie Rae and Melina more or less squared off at the pay-per-view when Thunder Rosa and Terryn went to the back, right? They exited the match, and Melina and Kylie kind of worked what was left of that match. And, sorry, guys. Worked that match to conclusion, Kylie Rae getting the pin over Melina. And then, of course, last week, Melina came out to interrupt Serena Deep and Thunder Rosa, which that was a weird segment too, right? I mean, you guys are with me on this, right? I mean, Kyle Davis is talking about these 2 competitors, and we think we're going to get a match for number 1 contenders, and instead now they're talking about who they want to mentor, which I think is kind of weird too, because it's not like they announced this episode of Circle Squared, unless that's what they're going to announce tonight. But I felt like it was pretty weird. And then, of course, after that segment where Melina has very little respect for Kylie Rae or Sky Blue or Serena Deep for that matter, then you get Terryn and Jennacide. So there's like this weird seasoned veteran with a rookie type relationship that's being developed in the women's division, and I don't really understand it, but maybe we'll get some more enlightenment today. Lamb says you have to pay to see Nick Aldis wrestle. Despite you guys paying $5 a month, that's just not enough. Only if you buy another pay-per-view $20, then you're allowed to see him wrestle. I mean, that's fairly accurate. I mean, honestly, that's fairly accurate. I don't think... I don't think the NWA thinks these things through to conclusion when they start making these ideas, right? Because when NWA Power first launched, there was immediately a shortage of title matches. Almost immediately, Nick Aldis quit defending the belt as often as he did. And now there's a reason for that, because one, you want the title to seem special So when it's at your event, it needs to feel really special. But I think it also devalues the title when it's not seen everywhere else. And so when Nick Aldis is only defending the title on NWA programs once every quarter, I really feel that devalues the title. And this isn't a Nick Aldis thing. This would be anybody who was wearing the 10 pounds of gold. If you're strictly defending in the NWA and we're only seeing you defend that title at pay-per-views, I feel like, how are you facing the best competition? And honestly, if you're just wrestling the folks from the NWA, then you're no longer a real world's title, you're just the NWA title. What made the 10 pounds of gold very unique and its past the predecessors to hold the title was the fact that the champion would go from territory to territory, and Ric Flair would wrestle in promotions that were affiliated with the NWA and were not affiliated with the NWA. Adam Pearce would take that title and wrestle in promotions for the NWA and promotions that were not a part of the NWA. And that was a hallmark for all of the world's heavyweight champions prior to, well, the last 1,000 days. And Nick Aldis did a great job as being world champion in his first run, defending that title in the UK, defending it in China, defending it in Hollywood on television, defending it on any NWA pay-per-view, taking it to Cody Rhodes at the All-In pay-per-view. I mean, Aldis certainly got mileage. The NWA certainly benefited from that first reign. During the second reign, everything started to slow down once Power came to fruition. Now, I'm not saying that Power is a bad thing. I'm not saying that Nick Aldis needs to defend the title in every single episode, but maybe a better balance than once every 3 months for the world's heavyweight champion. I mean, if we're not getting prize fights, and no disrespect intended to Trevor Murdoch, but if this was Kenny Omega and Nick Aldis, then maybe I can understand. If this was Cody Rhodes and Nick Aldis, maybe I could understand. But it's Trevor Murdoch. He's a guy on the roster. There's no reason to drag that out for 3 months. That's just my opinion. You see Willie Bowen in the house. I love it. Lamb also says the new NWA series will be a 30-minute talk show about strictly business, giving the people, mainly Dr. Robert Stinson, what they want. Terry McDermott says, right now we pay $5 to hear Nick and others talk. Lamb says the title defenses becomes so special. Most of them outside of the NWA were not filmed or not available to watch and poorly advertised. And that's a great point too, Lamb. I mean, there was a lot of matches that were not filmed by the NWA, and I think that's part of what you give up, right? For the NWA, I mean, look, if you're allowing your champion to go elsewhere, that film, that video, that's the property of the company who's putting on the live event, whoever it is. So if it's Metro Pro Wrestling, or if it's Game Changer Wrestling, or if it's Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, that footage belongs to the promotion who's filming it, unless some sort of agreement has come together. So, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I feel like the more that the wrestlers, the more that the title travels, and if it's only that match is only exclusive to, Title Match Network, or exclusive to, the United Wrestling Network library, then that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think if the title is a lot more valuable when it's seen by more eyeballs, and not putting down the NWA, but look, there's more eyeballs out there than just what the NWA is capturing. If there's 220,000 subscribers on YouTube, and I don't know how many subscribers they have on Fight, there's still more people out there. There's still more wrestling promotions out there, and I liked it so much more better when the champion, Nick Aldis, would defend that title everywhere, not just in the NWA. He says, are we acting like cable is free? This is studio wrestling. Did Flair hardly ever wrestle on TV in the 80s? No, I mean, Heebs, that's a thing. Flair wrestled all the time, but Flair also had a schedule where he was working 330 days a year, working two nights in some cases, 2 different towns in the same day. And you would see Flair wrestle guys who were made men like, Harley Race, Dusty Rhodes, Ricky Steamboat, Sting, Ricky Morton, Hawk. But then you'd also see him wrestle the no-name jabronis that were the best guys in the town, and they'd put on a great match, and you would never know who that guy was. That's just what it's about, and I really feel like the NWA got away from that, and it's a shame that they did, because I felt like that was, again, what made him unique. When Rob Conway would take the 10 pounds of gold to Japan, he didn't necessarily have the main event. He didn't even have, like, the middle of the card. He did what they gave him, and if it was against Satoshi Kojima or Hiroshi Tenzin or Wes Briscoe, he put on the best match he could, and that's all that I would like to see with the title going forward. Whatever opportunity, wherever there's a shot, wherever that title could be defended, it should be. That's part of what it's good for, I think. Dave Scooby asks, whatever happened to defending the title at least every 30 days, even every 45 would be good. Agreed, Scoobs, agreed. Phil says that they might be leaning to Aldis versus Pope. He seems primed to get the lucky 7. I mean, so let's take into consideration that Pope is undefeated in title matches. He's at 5 right now. Today should be 6, if we're to believe what it's supposed to be. So if he wins tonight, then he needs one more victory, and then the next 8 weeks of television, 9 weeks of television, that should be accomplished. But if they're building towards, Aldis versus Murdoch at the pay-per-view, which that's what I think they're doing, I don't know how long they're going to put the Pope on the back end of that. Lamb says, only if you fans are ready to pay for more. Wow. I mean, that's pretty accurate. Heap says, Flair wrestled for the house shows. It was a live audience business. Now it's more of a pay-per-view business. That's why I don't expect to see the NWA title matches on Power. And Heaps, that's cool, man. Like I said, I don't need to see the title matches on every episode of Power. I don't, but I should see the matches. I should be seeing Aldis or whomever the world champion is. I don't want to make this about Aldis because I don't think Aldis is the problem here. I think it's more having to do with the NWA. I think the 10 pounds of gold should be defended more. And like you said, house shows, that's fine, man. I mean, look, even if you don't work with the United Wrestling Network, even if you don't work with Ring of Honor, there's still promotions out there that are putting on live events. I mean, he did a show, the world champion defended in, where was it, Nebraska? That wasn't for an NWA sanctioned promotion. He defended in 127 Pro Wrestling out in Tennessee. Again, that's not an NWA promotion. He worked out for the Independent Expo in Texas, the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Again, that wasn't an NWA sanctioned promotion. That's what I'm talking about. Just get out there and defend the belt. I don't really care against who. I don't really care against where. I just want to see you wrestle. I want to see the world champion defend. And I mean, for as much as I get being a Nick Aldis hater, I mean, I hate because I want to see him wrestle. I hate because I want to see that title be defended. That's always been lost on me. Lamb says Okada held the IWGP title his 4th reign for 720 days and had only 11 title defenses. Despite only 11 title defenses, he was on nearly every tour and wrestled in the UK, US, Australia, and Japan. I mean, that's also comparing apples to oranges because there's no way the NWA could even compete with that. They just can't. It's not going to happen. But I still would like to see that more title defenses. Lamb wants to move on, but real quick, I want to address what Phil said. I hope Nick can go back to defending the belt in multiple promotions, and we can follow via the 10 pounds of gold series. I mean, that's what I'm hoping the announcement is tonight, right? I hope that they're relaunching the 10 pounds of gold, and then they're introducing a side project, maybe the Burke, and do 2 exposés, 2 documentaries, 2 shows that are just going to talk about, the title, right? Whoever the champion is, whether it's Aldis, Murdoch, the Pope, whoever holds the 10 pounds of gold, that's who they follow. And the same thing with the Burke, whether it be Thunder Rosa, Serena Deeb, Camille, or whomever's next. I think that would be pretty solid, and I think that would be a great use of their YouTube channel, and I think that'd be a great use of the fans. They keep clamoring for more entertainment. They keep wanting to see more wrestling. I think that's something that hopefully will happen. And Heeb says, now that we are in the back 9 of this pandemic, hopefully he takes more bookings. Heebs, absolutely. You know what? And for every negative thing that I've said, you know, if the fact that that title starts getting defended again, I'm going to eat my words, right? For every bad thing I said about Nick Aldis, if he gets out there and starts doing the job of a world heavyweight champion again, then I'm going to happily eat my words, because that's all I ever wanted, was to see him defend the title. That's it. Lamb says, if the 10 pounds of gold series returns, it's LOL not be as good as the previous series because of David Laconya's departure. That's his original baby. Yeah, I mean, Lamb, I hear that, right? But they did I believe it was Aldis who produced it. I don't know who actually produced it, but the 10 pounds of gold they did ahead of the primetime live match where he took on Mike Canales. I thought that was incredible, and I even complimented Aldis and told him that was great, dude, because that was almost like the originals, and I felt like it was really quality content. If they could go back to doing that, I would be in on that. I think most of you would too. Sorry, I need to get some water. It's a little hot in the studio today. But, so moving on, right? So, real quick, let's talk about YouTube. I don't know if you guys are even aware of this, but the NWA has already started another program that they're releasing select matches on YouTube. They're calling it High Voltage. The first one they quietly just put up, and it was a match from the 70th anniversary show where Pretty Peter Avalon with Nico Marquez wrestled a Tim Storm in a Kiss My Foot match. I'm not going to spoil it for you, but I think you already know who would win that. And that was filmed the same night that Nick Aldis would win the title back from Cody Rhodes at the 70th anniversary show. Very simple. Just had the match. Didn't change the interview, or excuse me, the announcers. Didn't change the commentary. Just presented the match as it was, with their own little graphics in the beginning and their own little graphics at the end, and then said, you know, check out Fight TV's Tuesdays at 6:05 for NWA Power. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was beautiful. I think it was an excellent strategy going forward. I was hoping that they were going to do it. It seems like they've already confirmed that. They aired the first new piece of content on the channel, and that was a match between PJ Hawk, Colby Corino, and Sal Rinauro, which is directly leads to the show tonight. Again, this is a brilliant strategy by the NWA, because now you're tying in that YouTube audience that it was 220,000 people. Now I think it's down to 213,000. You're tying that audience back into Fight TV. Now, whether they go and order that $4.99 weekly subscription or not, you're still saying, hey, we care about you. Here's a wrestling match. Enjoy it. If you love it, $4.99 will get you more. And if you don't, hey, we'll be back next week with something different. Phil Talk Sports says Colby Corino has star written all over him. The kid's been wrestling since he was like literally 5 years old. I think his first professional match, he might have still been in a diaper. I know that he was on record at one point at 13 being the youngest NWA wrestler with a victory. He, along with his father, competed in a lot of NWA promotions in the early 2000s. And the fact of the matter is that, I mean, he is a grizzly veteran at the age of 24. He's done more and seen more than most wrestlers his age will ever do. And the fact that he is the son of a former NWA World Heavyweight Champion could certainly put a bit of a crawl in his, what's the word I'm looking for? A chip on the shoulder. That's what I wanted to say. Chris Drummond says, no one wants to bring Aldis. Who does he put over? I mean, we kind of already talked about it, but the thing about Aldis is he's a star. Guy's going to make me say nice things about Nick Aldis. I'll say nice things about Nick Aldis. He's a star. There's no doubt about it. The guy carries himself like a superstar. He cuts a promo like a superstar. Maybe he's not the greatest wrestler on the planet, but he's doing pretty good. He's doing pretty good. I mean, his matches are fine. Like I said, they're probably not going to win a Meltzer Award, but Nick Aldis does a good job in the ring. And so he could have a good match with just about anybody. And so in my mind, there's nothing wrong with Nick Aldis as World Heavyweight Champion. We just want to see him defend more. And to answer your question, Chris, who wants to bring Aldis in? I mean, it's just to pop the audience, right? When Aldis was at the height of his popularity, going into All In, a lot of people would have booked Nick Aldis. He did get booked in a lot of places because there was a lot of attention on the NWA. The first season of Power, again, there was a lot of attention on the NWA. I think you could have booked Aldis in a lot of places, and it would have worked because, again, there was so much focus on what the NWA was doing. Now it's not as big of a draw because, again, they took themselves off of YouTube. There's less people watching the product. They're kind of rebuilding right now. So I feel like he could get those same bookings again. I mean, look, they're using him at the autograph signing that they're doing in Charlotte when he wrestles Trevor Murdoch on July 24th. They'll probably use him at the other convention that they do in North Carolina around Thanksgiving weekend. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but so I really feel like he's not the problem. I think people would book him if he's available. People will book him. Kikuchi brings up that Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators used him on their cards as well. In fact, I believe Colby Corino earned a shot at Craig Classic at a dog wrestling event, and that match happened on another card in New Jersey. But I do believe that they had I believe it was a qualifying match, a number one contenders match for the junior heavyweight title that Colby challenged for. So we'll see how that goes. But again, I like Colby. I think I know he's battled some demons. I know it hasn't been an easy road for him. And again, this NWA schedule is very choice for a lot of these guys who are still independent wrestlers, because he can still go wrestle, 5 or 10 times a month and still have this NWA show airing and putting him over week after week while he's out there making his living on the indies. And if the NWA ever decides to lock him up, put a title on him, or somehow put him under contract, I mean, he's been building up his fan base all along, so I think it's a good deal. Chris says, I would bring in Camille before him if I ran in any promotion. I mean, Camille, again, I think she's a future star, right? I think she is going to be a mainstream WWE, AEW kind of wrestler. I think she's going to get over. I think she's going to go to those bigger paydays. But, it's not like she's exactly a complete wrestler just yet. And that's not to insult her. I just think she needs to grow as an athlete, grow as a wrestler. But her promos are getting better. She has a great look. I really feel like she's could be something special. And then I want to recognize Semi LM. We're big wrestling fans here on this page. What you're watching is the pre-party, and that's a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. And we're your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. I see that you're watching the WWE. You're checking out Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is a beast. He is your tribal chief. But we're talking about the NWA, where it's all strictly business. And the man who holds the 10 pounds of the gold is the real world champion. And I'm talking about Nick Aldis, the national treasure, the dealer, if you will. And if you're interested in what that looks like, Semi, check out youtube.com/NWA and check out what they have to offer. A lot of promos, a couple of matches. And if you're into it, you should think about checking them out on Fight TV. The NWA, that is. There's my commercial for the NWA. Who says I don't put the NWA over? No one does it better than me. Lamb says CZW loves Aldis and the NWA. They can bring them in, right? I don't think that's going to happen. Heaves says people will spend money just to see the 10 pounds of gold. Absolutely, Heaves. And that's something we didn't even get into, right? The 10 pounds of gold, the most famous title in professional wrestling. I mean, if you brought Aldis into a wrestling convention, just the fact that he has the real 10 pounds of gold, people will pay to see that. They will pay to get an autograph and take a picture with the title. It has meaning. It's still meaningful, especially in the South. You get that title, Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. I mean, there's a lot of clout for the NWA in the Southeast. And let's not ever forget about that. He says, is it Lady Frost versus Jennacide tonight? Lady Frost is like a hard hitter, right? What's her style? I'm still trying to figure out who Lady Frost is. I mean, she has a great look. She's beautiful. Her little bit of wrestling she did with Terryn, she looked very, like, legit, very clean. So, yeah, I think she's going to be more of a polished wrestler, more Greco-Roman, if you will, more mat-style wrestling, where Jennacide is mostly power. It should be kind of a styles clash and maybe kind of like a precursor of, what we would get if we saw Thunder Rosa and Camille back in the ring again. The mat wrestler versus the powerhouse. They've done it before, but it would be fun to see again. Kikuchi said, pre-party. That's right, baby. That's right. This is the pre-party. And you're checking us out. And it's Tuesday. We do this every Tuesday, same time. That's 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 o'clock Pacific. And if you like this show, make sure you give it a thumbs up, a like, a follow, share it on social media. And if you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on all accounts at The Alliance Blog. That's Facebook. That's on Instagram. That's on Twitter. That is anywhere. TikTok. Tumblr even. And if you really, really like the show, you can get a hat like this or a t-shirt like this one available on the shop zone. Just head to alliance-wrestling.com and check out the merch store. So we've talked about who we thought was going to be the next NWA National Champion. We talked about tonight's matchup between we were talking a little bit about the NWA YouTube channel and how they're efforting to use it. We talked about Nick Aldis defending the title more. We talked a little bit about who we thought was going to main event the pay-per-view. We'll spend some more time on that on the next show. You guys are awesome. I'm just reading some of the comments. We also talked about Lady Frost and Jennacide. The other match we're getting, we talked a little bit about, was Kylie Rae taking on Melina. Now, Kylie Rae did essentially score a pinfall against Melina at the pay-per-view. Kylie Rae, it's a very weird dichotomy. Hey, Fiona's in the house. What's up, Fiona? I don't understand with Kylie Rae. I know that she had to get out of her Impact contract to come work for the NWA. The NWA said that she's under contract, so we don't really know what the status is with Kylie Rae. But we hope that her mental health is well. And again, with this NWA schedule taping 3 or 4 days for months worth of content, I hope that works out in her mental health plan. But I really feel like she could be a gem for the NWA. She could really help out building the future of the women's division. Although it's not been significantly said, like no one's really pointed it out for certain, but it's been said that perhaps Thunder Rosa is only going to be involved with the NWA till the end of the year. We don't know that for certain, but that's what they've said. With Camille, I feel like she's along with the NWA for as long as she wants to be until other opportunities come calling. Kylie, this might be the perfect opportunity for her. Now, we know that Kylie Rae is a Chicago native, which I think that appeals to Billy Corgan being from Chicago as well. But it's also, she just is a fairly talented female, and given the opportunity to run with the ball, maybe she will. I know that she was supposed to wrestle Deonna Purrazzo back at Bound for Glory and Impact, I think last year. And I really feel like she has a lot of natural charisma. Sometimes a polarizing figure. There's some people who really do love her as a talent, and then there's some people who just absolutely despise her. So I don't know for sure where they're going with Kylie Rae. I can't even tell if she's a babyface or a heel yet. But I really am looking forward to how they develop her. And I mean, Melina's a legend. Melina has done a lot. She's in the WWE Hall of Fame, but I don't know how much more Melina can actually do in the ring, right? Like, she already looks like her leg is bothering her on this last set of tapings. So, I mean, I hope this match is good. I have a feeling that Kylie Rae is going to look like a gem again, and hopefully they're building up towards a match with maybe her and Thunder Rosa, right? As they try to figure out what they're going to do with the Women's Championship going further. Chris Drummond says, Jay, would you be okay if Rosa doesn't ink with the NWA but appears once in a while? Absolutely. The thing with Thunder Rosa is the world is really her oyster. Now, if she can get a deal where AEW will still allow her to work outside of AEW, then of course she should do it. She's the greatest wrestler alive today. Her ferocity, her tenacity, her ability in the ring, her promos, her look, she's so different than everything else that's out there that she should milk it for everything she can, whether that be collecting a paycheck from the NWA, whether it's collecting a paycheck from AEW, or wherever. I really hope that she continues to be who she is and appear everywhere, because she does have a lot of moxie. She has a lot of charisma. People are down for Thunder Rosa, and that's a very good thing to have. So I'm hoping that she does still continue to make appearances for the NWA when she signs with the AEW, but I don't know if that's going to happen. I just think that once she's locked up somewhere, that's it. She'll be able to wrestle for Mission Pro, and that's probably it. Let's see. Woodland Goblin's in the house. He says, Kikuchi, take that wrench and fix his audio problems. What's wrong with my audio problems? Am I having audio problems? Can you guys not hear me? Are we having audio problems? No one said anything. And then DKM says, changing subjects, what do you think of the fact that the NWA social media has gotten so active? DKM, that proves two things to me right off the bat. Number one, it shows me that the NWA is out there trying to make some stuff happen. It also would lead me to think that maybe the NWA numbers for the pay-per-views weren't as good, and they're really trying to invest. You said I sound windy. Hold on a second. Is that any better? Man, I guess wish you guys would have told me sooner how to turn the fan off. So where were we? Social media. So the NWA social media, I think, is a byproduct of needing to get more buys. Now, I don't know this. No one's told me anything. But if they were doing great, then I think everything would have stayed the same. But the fact that that there's such a higher influx of social media connection, number one, I think it's great for the fan base. I think it's good for connecting with your audience, but I also think that the byproduct of that is going to be more pay-per-view purchases and hopefully more subscription buys. And I think this all ties together, and it's about time the NWA took advantage of this opportunity. I don't know who's taking over their social media, but I mean, we're getting birthday announcements, we're getting on this day, like history moments, and just overall good content. And I really feel like that's solid. The NWA is going to benefit from that. So I think that's all good. Phil says, but who is the mystery man? The mystery man, I mean, you can go out there and find out who he is. I like to pretend like I don't know. I want to get worked. I just hope they don't ever say who he really is, and they keep this air of his confidence. His I only speak when William Patrick Corgan tells me to speak. I like it. He's, the way I described him to a friend is like he's the antithesis of the question mark. He is not funny. He is not portraying it silly. He's all serious. He's all gimmicked. In the same way that the question mark was all gimmicked. We'll see how it goes. Look, good, talented wrestlers are good anywhere. I think that's good. I think it helps develop talent. Steel forges steel, or steel sharpens steel, you should say. So, seeing a quality wrestler in the ring, I think, would be really, really good. Chris Drummond says Britt Baker is the best. Hey, everyone is entitled to their own opinion, Chris. Even if you're wrong, you're entitled to your opinion. DKM says Rosa is greater than Baker. Kikuchi says the audio fixed itself as soon as you found out about it. It was the fan. Terry says the mystery man is talking tonight and not in a match. And then they even advertised it as like heart to heart with May Valentine, which is great. I think they should have done that since day one. But I feel like I don't think you're gonna find out any more answers about her. Craig says, now that the NWA is going back to the Chase in St. Louis for their upcoming 73rd anniversary show, I'd love for the NWA to hold a future anniversary show in their birthplace of Waterloo, Iowa. Craig, I mean, that would only be the reason for me to ever go to Iowa, is if the NWA is going to do some sort of famous show there. But yeah, I think that'd be a lot of fun. DKM says, do you love the old school posters that they've been using? Yeah, I really feel like look, the NWA is a niche, right? You don't watch the NWA just for Nick Aldis. I mean, maybe you do. I don't. I'm stuck on the history and the lore of the NWA. That's what keeps me here. Even when things kind of disappoint me on other aspects of the NWA, the fact that it's still connected to 73 years of wrestling history tradition. It's connected to Luthez. It's connected to Ric Flair. It's connected to Harley Race. It's connected to Dan the Beast Severn. It's connected to Shinya Hashimoto and the Great Muta, Adam Pearce. I mean, the history, right, is part of what makes it so fascinating to me. And the posters pay homage to that. I think it's great. I think it's really, really great. So I love it. Lamb says, I hope the NWA continues their success for the sake of a lot of wrestlers who don't get a spotlight somewhere else. Yeah, absolutely. Agreed. Heap says, I'd love it if they put different people under mask at every taping. That would be fun too, right? Like have your own, like, like a masked character, like the Conquistadors, if you will, like what WWE did with the Hardys and Edge and Christian back in the day. Lamb says, the first Hall of Famer in the Lightning One era is Nick Aldis. I mean, honestly, I think it'd be Tim Storm. I could see them putting Tim Storm in first. Nick Aldis still has a long time before he's going to need to quit wrestling. I mean, he's a young dude. He's only 34, which means realistically he could probably wrestle another 15 years with no problems if he chose to. If he chose to. Lamb says, we watch Power for the great complex storylines, promos, and Nick Aldis suits. Yes, the Aldis suits, right? Of course, who doesn't love the Nick Aldis suits? And Lamb says, no, they'll induct Aldis before Storm. I don't know, man. I know that there's a lot of positive feelings about Tim Storm, that he did a lot for the brand. He did a lot for the NWA, and I don't think that they will ever stop acknowledging that. Excuse me, I had to get a drink there. So the other match that's really exciting to me tonight, of course we haven't even talked about it, is the television title match with the Pope. The Pope defending against Sal Rinauro. Now, I guess we kind of started to talk about it. Sal Rinauro has not really had very much single success in the NWA, right? I mean, Sal Rinauro had 2 victories teaming with Tim Storm. One against Hawk Ari and the other against the tag team champions, and which wasn't really even a tag team match. They just say it was. But Craig, yes, the Rock and Roll Express are in the Hall of Fame. I know Kevin Frazier isn't watching right now, but rock and roll, baby, rock and roll. I keep that there just to show him. Yes, and Hebe says, is this potentially defense number 6? It is. And that's the interesting thing, right? Because if he wins tonight, which, I mean, I don't know. I haven't really looked at the spoilers. If he wins tonight, that puts him in line for one more match, one more opportunity to square up against Nick Aldis, that lucky 7. And that's kind of surprising. Because timing-wise, they don't look like they really have an opportunity for Aldis versus the Pope at these TV tapings. I don't think a match was taped. I think we would have heard about it if a match was taped between Aldis and the Pope. And then, of course, the pay-per-view, I still feel like they're building up towards Murdoch versus Aldis. Unless we just get a slowdown of TV title matches. They start putting him into other storyline where he's maybe in tag matches or something. But he faces Sal Rinauro tonight. Now, Rinauro gets this opportunity because he beat Colby Corino. He beat PJ Hawk. And again, that match was really solid. You could check it out on YouTube. It's under the High Voltage category. It was recorded as a dark match. I really felt like they messed up by not putting this on Power. But again, if you want to have something special and unique to show the NWA audience on YouTube, this was a good case of that. PJ Hawk, to me, looks like he is going to be just an absolute killer as he gets older, gets into his old man body. You know, he's still a kid when he gets that old man body. I mean, he's about 6 foot. He's in good shape. He has a good look. He probably needs some help with his promos, but other than that, I really feel like he has an opportunity to be something really big with the NWA. You know, he and his father can kind of mess around in that tag team division until it's time for him to step up and maybe make a run at one of these single titles. And, you know, Dave Scooby says he's looking for a Corino run-in. That could happen. That would be kind of fun, too, because then it would stretch out this Corino deal and give him an opportunity to maybe continue to feud with Sal Rinauro. Although I think what would be best for the NWA, if they're going to go with this Colby Corino deal, is maybe have him feud with PJ until, you know, Hawkari are ready to start, you know, making a serious run at the tag titles. Lamb says Pope could be at number 6. Oh, wow. What was number 5? I thought number 5 was Luke Hawk. Luke Hawk, Matt Cross, Tyrus, Fred Rosser, Tom Latimer. There's your 5. That was pretty good. That was off the top of my head. I think I got it in continuity right, too. Terry McDermott says PJ Hawks may become a national champion one day. I think sooner than later, too. PJ, he's so skilled, right? And again, a lot like Colby, he's been around the business since he was a baby. And, you know, you got these 2 second-generation wrestlers who, like, I don't know, man, you could probably build the future of the NWA around these guys. I know there's more talent out there than just these 2 gentlemen. And I'm not suggesting that they are it and everything else is second class, but certainly could be a cornerstone of the promotion if you keep these 2 guys around. I mean, they're in their 20s. Can you imagine how good they're going to be in 15 years? You know, when they hit 30? Forget about it. Heeb says Wildcat Sports would be a great spot for some live NWA action in between tapings. Heebs, you're right on the money, brother. Wildcat takes it serious. They were associated with the NWA in the past. I think both times too. I think both with the Bruce Tharpe ownership era, and then also when the ownership that predated them, which was the Bob Trowbridge era. He didn't own the NWA as much as he was the last executive director of the NWA. Let's see. Phil says, I hope Tim Storm gets in the ring for the 73rd. You know, I really feel like the best thing they can do with Tim Storm is to put him in a decent tag team and maybe get him a run at the tag titles. I feel Tim Storm has a lot more in the tank, but I don't know how much he can do as a singles competitor. If you were to put him in a tag team, and I'm just throwing it out there, I'm not saying break up the Workings, but if you put him in a tag team with Jack Stane, or you put him in a tag team with, I don't want to say Sal Rinauro, but Aaron Stevens. You know, you put him in a tag team where he doesn't have to do 100% of the work. It only needs to do 50%. I really feel like you could get some mileage out of him. Maybe put him in a tag team, I don't know, with Paro. I guess that's kind of crazy because Paro's in a tag team already, but you hear what I'm saying. I feel like there's opportunity for Tim Storm to continue his career as an active competitor and have a championship, but I don't think you'll see him get a serious run at a singles title anytime soon. They've kind of transitioned him into the broadcast booth, which I'm sure gives him a lot more responsibilities backstage, I'm sure, which is good for him past his wrestling career, but I still think he has gas left in the tank. Lamb says save Clearwater. Yeah, Jordan Clearwater, I mean, they've got a manager for him. Hopefully things start churning around for the guy. You know, and we're just talking about Tim Storm. He and Jordan Clearwater would be another fascinating tag team as well. but then you'd have to get him away from G's, which I'm sure it wouldn't be too difficult. But Craig says, I like the idea of Tim Storm teaming with Jack Stane, especially considering their history together. Yeah, I mean, they both kind of bonked around the Texas independent scene for many, many years. They bumped into each other as champions, both Dane as North American and Tim as the national champion. Remember, Jax briefly unified those titles in his hunt for the world's heavyweight championship. And, Tim Storm, once he had the opportunity to regain the national title, he did so. And when the opportunity came to face Jax for the 10 pounds of gold, he came up and won. So I think that would be a pretty good pairing as well. He says he would like to see that at the Crockett Cup before COVID. That would have worked. They at that point back in 2020, we didn't have Crimson back in the ring yet, so that might have been something they could have done too. Phil says, agree, as much as I enjoyed watching it on YouTube, it would have been great to draw for Power. Terry McDermott says, Clearwater is being treated like he is Danny Deals. Makes him angry and sad. Yeah, I know, Terry, you're a big Jordan Clearwater fan, and they just haven't seemed to get him dialed in yet. And it's a shame, because he did have a good match with Nick Aldis, and he has a ton of potential. I don't think he's realized even half of it yet. Locally, he just recently forfeited his America's Championship for the Empire Wrestling Federation in my backyard, San Bernardino, California. And so I think maybe his commitment to the NWA might be growing with the fact that he just forfeited the EWF America's title. Hebe says, if our pal Sal starts taking a turn to a more serious wrestler, that team would work too. Yeah, but I think part of the charm with Sal is not having him be serious and being more or less enhancement talent. There's nothing wrong with that, right? There's nothing wrong with that, because you need those people. Not everyone can be world's heavyweight champion, and Sal kind of fits really well into that. But of course, I feel like they're going to, they'll do with Sal what they do. Lamb says, did they build up serious contenders for the tag titles, La Rebellion? They're still working on it. I mean, La Rebellion seems very prime to become number one contenders to the tag titles. They did have a victory over at the pay-per-view. They had that four-way tag team match. They walked away victorious in that. The match they had with the End went to a draw. They beat up Luke Hawk and PJ Hawk. I mean, even at the YouTube video, PJ was still wearing the bruises and the beating he took from La Rebellion. So it'll be interesting to see how they put all this together. But yeah, I feel like the tag team division in the NWA, it still needs a lot of work, but I still feel like they have potential. And that's the thing. You can't teach size, you can't teach strength. You could teach someone how to work, but in the right environment. Lamb said La Rebellion faced the End. I mean, am I going crazy? I thought that happened a couple weeks ago on TV. Sal is PR solid in the ring. Dave, what do you mean by that? PR solid? I mean, he's fun. His promos are good. I think he works exactly where they're using him, and I think that's a pretty good spot for him as we're speaking right now. Now I'm just sourcing myself because I feel like maybe I just gave some false information, and I want to make sure it's right. I thought that La Rebellion faced the End, so now I'm sourcing myself real quick, and I'm looking. How can they? All right. Sorry, guys. Bear with me just for a second. I know we're getting close to wrapping up the show, but I did want to just. I know, Lamb. I know we got 5 minutes. You're the one that's making me question myself. They did. DKM's vouching for me. Okay. Yeah, Scooby. Yeah, Rinauro. I mean, that was like 15 years ago. Like, Rinauro has had some more match experience than most. But yeah, he could be fun, but I think they're going to use him in the position that he's in because it makes sense. They need guys like that. You know, they can't put everyone in the national title division. They can't put everyone in the TV title division. They need to have guys that can make some talents bigger deals than they are. And yes, thank you for sourcing me, DK. They did end in a double count out. So as we're getting close to the end of the show, there's about 5 minutes left. So real quick, I want to hit it again. If you are really enjoying these podcasts, these live streams that we do on Tuesdays, make sure you check out first alliance-wrestling.com, because that's where we post the news and information about. I could be talking about wrestling all day with you guys, but if you want to read about what's going on in the NWA, that's the best place to go, alliance-wrestling.com. We're on all social medias at the Alliance blog. If you like this podcast, make sure you give it a thumbs up. You like it on Facebook or follow us on Twitch. Or just subscribe, because that would be great too. And we do appreciate that, you subscribing, because that helps others see us. We're currently at 260 subscribers on YouTube, and I'd love to see that number a lot higher. So if you're enjoying the show, make sure you tell your friend. Let's get this community going. That hashtag NWA fan, we're a part of that, guys. We tell you like what we think the NWA is here on the Alliance blog, whether you're watching the pre-party or you're watching the Alliance Guys podcast on Thursdays. We're here to have fun and talk NWA with you guys. You're always fun. We love interacting with you guys in the chat. That's what makes this show so much fun for us to do. If you want to rep some Alliance blog gear, you can get it by going to the merch store at alliance-wrestling.com/merch. Again, we'll be here on Thursday from 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific, and we'll be doing a recap of what you're going to watch tonight on POWERRR. And then, of course, if you prefer to listen to the podcast as opposed to watch it, visit the Alliance blog and go to podcast, or you could just search the Alliance blog, whether it be Apple or Amazon or Google or Spotify. We're pretty much everywhere you can get your podcast at, so check that out. But that's going to do it. Again, thank you so much for being here, sharing part of your week with me here on Tuesdays. It is one of the most fun things I get to do every week, and I wouldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much. But now, let's go watch Lady Frost and Jennacide. Let's go watch, what's the other match? Kylie Rae and Melina. Let's go watch the Pope win number 6. And until then, we'll see you at the matches.